What would happen if for a year you made yourself a promise to do something every single week that scares you? You could think, I'm scared of enough things already. I don't have time for this. And what if that's just what's holding you back? What if that is the only thing standing between you and the most powerful version of yourself? Let's get one thing straight. Fear is not your enemy. It's a signal, a warning, an invitation to grow. Imagine waking up every day with the knowledge that you are no longer at the mercy of your own doubts. You've chosen to face them head on, week after week, and in doing so, you've unlocked a power that few ever experience: unstoppable confidence. Confidence is not some sort of magic gift that the selected few come in possessing. It's actually something you create, one small, courageous step at a time. And I'm going to show you how doing something that scares you every week can change your life forever. But first, ask yourself this. When was the last time you did something that terrified you? Really think about it. When was the last time you took a leap of faith, pushed past the fear, and did something that made you feel invincible? Can't remember? That's okay. We're going to change that today. We are going to break down precisely how fear works, why you should be seeking it out, and even how you can use it as a powerful tool in building confidence, transforming your life, and becoming the person you've always dreamed of being. Now, this isn't just an exercise in how to tackle great fears like public speaking or quitting your job. It's about understanding that every fear you face is an opportunity to grow, learn, and build the resilience that makes you unstoppable. By the end of this video, you will know exactly how to structure weekly challenges to break free from the chains of fear and start living a life full of self-assurance, courage, and strength. Let's dive in. Understanding fear and confidence. 1. Why fear exists and how it affects us. Fear is a universal emotion. We've all felt it. Whether it's that nervous anticipation before a job interview or the sweaty palms before speaking in public, fear is something that's woven into the very fabric of our lives. But where does it come from? Actually, fear is a survival mechanism dating back to the time of our caveman ancestors. At that time, fear would protect us from predators and would enable quick decisions on the right things to do. In such cases of dangerous situations, their bodies activated the fight or flight response, either to fight or flee from it. It's a behavior encoded in our DNA. But here's the thing. The world we live in today is far less dangerous than the one our ancestors faced. So, why do we still experience the same level of fear when it comes to things like public speaking, networking, or trying something new? The answer lies in the way our brains are wired. The part of the brain responsible for fear, the amygdala, doesn't differentiate between a real threat, like an animal chasing us, and a perceived threat, like a difficult conversation. It sees all fear as the same, which is why we experience anxiety and stress over things that are unlikely to harm us physically. But the good news is that our brains are adaptable. We don't have to live at the mercy of our fears. By learning to face our fears head-on, we can rewire our brains and turn fear into a source of power. 2. The psychology behind fear. How our minds trick us. Understanding fear's psychology is key to breaking free from its grip. Fear often comes from our mind's imagination. It's an illusion we create in our heads based on past experiences or worries about the future. We imagine the worst-case scenario, and our brains naturally react as though it's an imminent threat. Consider the last time you felt nervous about something. Was it because you were about to face a real danger? Probably not. Instead, it was probably because you feared rejection, failure, or looking foolish. This type of fear is often irrational and based on self-doubt. Our fear centers on 3 core areas. Asterisk fear of failure. The belief that we won't succeed, so we don't try. Asterisk fear of rejection. That others will not accept us, therefore we hold back. Asterisk fear of judgment. That others will criticize us, therefore we keep quiet or avoid attention. But all these fears are self-imposed. They are stories our minds concoct that are never furthered with what we really want in life. And the more we avoid it, the greater it grows. The more we let it control us, the less we experience the joy of growth and success. When we confront these fears, however, we break their power over us. We learn that failure is a learning experience, rejection is part of growth, and judgment is just an opinion that doesn't define us. 3. How confidence works and why it's essential. Now that we have understood the nature of fear, let's talk about confidence. Confidence isn't inherent. It is a skill acquired over time. It is about self-belief and having confidence in what you can do and knowing what can happen in life. Real confidence is not arrogance, pretending to be perfect. It's about accepting you are imperfect and boldly taking action despite your flaws. The more you act against fear, the more confident you become. The secret to confidence is action. One cannot simply state that he or she feels confident and wait for an ideal moment. He or she must prove to him or herself through action that he or she can really tackle the obstacle. However, that's a really common myth. People really think that when you develop confidence, things become that much easier and thus they'll fall into your lap. Confidence follows the action, however. One does not become confident through sitting in a comfort zone. Rather, one does become confident through risks and getting to face unknown situations. The more you step outside of your comfort zone and face fear, the more confidence you gain. And the moment you achieve success in whatever way, no matter how small, you will start trusting yourself, and that is when real change happens. 4. General fears people encounter. Let's take a brief look at some of the common fears people face and why they restrain us. Fear of failure. This is one of the biggest barriers to growth. Many people fear that if they fail, they'll be seen as incompetent or incapable. But failure is actually a stepping stone to success. Every failure is an opportunity to learn and improve. It's the only way to gain experience and wisdom. Fear of rejection. This fear is related to our primal need for acceptance. We want to belong, and rejection can feel like a threat to our sense of self-worth. But in reality, rejection is part of life. Not everyone will like us, and that's okay. The key is learning to accept rejection and move forward without letting it define us. Fear of judgments. This is driven because people want to be appreciated and not criticized. I care about what others perceive me to be, especially on matters that I'm exposing myself to or taking a leadership position. But this is the secret. Most others are too self-absorbed to judge you to your worst fears. Once one gets to this point, judgment can no longer hold them. Fear and building co-NFIDNC. 1. The science of overcoming fear. Understanding the science of fear is the first step in taming it. Fear is not just a feeling, it's a biological response. The amygdala, part of the brain responsible for processing emotions, kicks into high gear when you're faced with something threatening, triggering the fight or flight response. But here's the catch. This system was designed for physical threats, not psychological ones. So when you feel fear before a presentation, an interview, or confronting a difficult situation, your brain is responding to something that isn't truly life-threatening. But it doesn't stop here. When you take action with fear in place, it releases this feel-good hormone called dopamine for a boost. This reinforces this cycle. The more you face your fears, the more your brain starts linking fear with positive results. Over time, it rewires how you react to fears. It becomes something you use as a tool rather than paralysis. By gradually dealing with your fears in small, manageable doses every week, you are training your brain to learn that fear does not have to be avoided, but is instead a signal that you are growing. Neuroplasticity affirms this concept, which essentially says that a great deal of what occurs in the brain can be altered by experience. In simple terms, you can rewire your brain to approach fear much better and put it to your work. 2. Creating weekly challenges to face fear. One of the most powerful ways to be more confident is by forcing you out of your shell. Weekly challenges. A person has to confront and tackle one fear every week, no matter how significant or small. The goodness in this approach is cumulative. Each challenge that tames adds to the reservoir of confidence that is growing progressively, hence creating a snowball of success. Here's how to structure your weekly challenges. 1. Identify your fears. Take time to write down what you're afraid of. Don't hold back. Write down even the most embarrassing or irrational fears. Be specific. Is it fear of speaking up in a meeting? Fear of asking someone on a date? Fear of looking foolish in public? The clearer you are, the more you can work with. 2. Start small. Don't have to face your greatest fear right now. Start at something you can handle. If your fear in public speaking, your first step might be standing in front of a mirror for 10 minutes. The action is to do it, no matter how small. 3. Schedule it. Don't just decide to face your fear. Schedule it. Make it non-negotiable as a part of your week. Treat it like an important meeting, workout, or other important task. Consistency is key to fighting fears and building confidence. 4. Reflection and learning. Take some time to reflect after facing each challenge. What was good? What was not? What do you take away from the experience as regards yourself? This reflective process will make you tweak the necessary areas and then keep moving forward. When you set challenges, you change the abstract notion of confronting your fear into concrete actions with tangible, measurable growth that follows. 3. How to conquer fears step by step. While setting weekly challenges is one thing, having a step-by-step strategy for tackling fears ensures you're not overwhelmed by them. Here's a roadmap for how to deal with fear. 1. Identify the fear. It is essential to acknowledge and define the fear. You ask yourself, what am I afraid of exactly? Often you can break it down to smaller parts. If it is public speaking that scares you, then maybe you are not afraid of speaking in front of people, but maybe of being judged or saying something wrong. That's half the battle right there. 2. Confront the belief. Fear feeds on irrational beliefs. It feeds on worst-case scenarios that are probably not going to happen. Once you have identified your fear, confront the beliefs that fuel it. Ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen? Is that something I really can't handle? This logical approach helps dissipate the power of fear. 3. Visualize success. Before confronting your fear, spend time visualizing yourself succeeding. Imagine handling the situation with confidence and ease. Visualization rewires your brain to prepare for success rather than failure, making it easier to take the leap when the time comes. 4. Step 1. Fear paralyzes because we are daunted by the whole picture. It is a question of making the first step. Even if it is very small, it breaks the inertia. As you take that first step, you have momentum, and the next one is much easier. 5. Repeat the sensitization. Fear is like a muscle, it weakens as you exercise it. The more you exercise it, the weaker it gets. Repetition is the key. Desensitization is where you expose yourself to the same fear over and over again, so that your fear becomes powerless over you. 6. Celebrate the progress. Every time you overcome a fear, celebrate it. This could be as simple as jotting it down in your journal or sharing it with a friend. Positive reinforcement is key to maintaining the progress. 4. Examples of overcoming fear in real life. To understand more about how powerful it is to overcome our fears, let's take a few examples of people who've done just that and in the process changed their lives. J.K. Rowling. Before becoming one of the world's most successful authors, J.K. Rowling was rejected by publisher after publisher. At one point, she was a struggling single mother on welfare. She kept sending out her manuscript for Harry Potter, and eventually, she faced her fear of rejection and became a literary icon. Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs is an innovator, but he had many fears, including the fear of failure and public criticism. He was once ousted from Apple in 1985, but years later, he returned to save the company, having overcome the fear of what others would think of his failures. Oprah Winfrey. Once, Oprah was told that she was unfit for television. For the majority of her early career, Oprah doubted herself. Rather than allowing fear to consume her, Oprah faced it, and it led to one of the most influential careers in media history. These examples show that fear is something that everyone, no matter how successful, must face. However, the key difference lies in how these individuals handled fear. They faced it, grew from it, and used it as a catalyst for success. 5. The power of mindset. In order to overcome fear, you need the right mindset. Here is the truth. If you believe that you cannot face your fears, then you won't. But if you approach fear with the right mindset, you can transform any challenge into an opportunity for growth. The growth mindset is crucial. This mindset is based on the belief that abilities and intelligence can be developed over time through hard work and perseverance. People with a growth mindset don't see failure as a reflection of their worth. They see it as a necessary part of the learning process. This allows them to embrace challenges and see fear as a stepping stone rather than a barrier. On the other hand, the fixed mindset is the notion that your abilities are fixed and cannot be changed. This mindset makes fear appear insurmountable, and individuals who have a fixed mindset tend to avoid challenges. But the growth mindset is not something you are born with. It is something you can develop. It's about changing how you view failure, effort, and fear to be able to reframe your experiences and start using them as fuel for growth rather than as obstacles. We're going to dive deeper into maintaining momentum in the face of fear, creating a community of like-minded people that will help you stay on track, and more. If you would like to continue any or change some sections, please let me know, and I'll keep it going. 6. Support system. As much as we might want to think overcoming fear is a completely solitary journey, the fact is we weren't created to face our fears alone. Building a support system is actually of prime importance in seeing long-term success in vanquishing fear and boosting confidence. It's sometimes simply a matter of being surrounded by people who push, challenge, and believe in you enough that you can overcome obstacles. Here's why. It's easy to feel isolated with fear, as if everyone else could not possibly comprehend what you are going through. That is where supportive communities come in. Whether through a mentor, a friend, a group of like-minded people, or even some kind of online community, they can give you what you need to keep taking those steps forward when the situation feels overwhelming. Let's break it down. 1. Accountability. Knowing that someone else is going to check in on your progress and goals is a big motivator. They can keep you focused when you begin to doubt yourself or get off track. 2. Perspective. Sometimes our fears are magnified in our minds. Having someone else look at the situation can provide a fresh perspective, making the fear seem less significant. 3. Emotional support. With fear of failure comes shame and inadequacy. A good support system can help work over these thoughts by reminding you that fear is normal and that failing is part of the learning process. 4. Shared experiences. When you find people who have faced similar fears, you realize that you're not alone. It's comforting to hear others' stories of struggle and success, and it can help you believe that your fear can be overcome too. The good news is that you don't need to have a huge network of people to create this support system. Start small. You can find an accountability buddy who shares similar goals, or join an online community of people who are also committed to facing their fears. Over time, your support system will grow as you share your journey and help others along the way. 7. Celebrating small wins. We often hear about big achievements, landing the perfect job, completing a marathon, giving an award-winning speech. But it's the small wins that often get overlooked. However, it's these small wins that build the foundation of confidence. When you take the time to celebrate the small victories, you reinforce the behavior and create momentum toward bigger successes. Fear is an emotional response which can sweep us over, but small victories soften the impact of fear. By breaking down big fears into manageable steps, we keep seeing and relishing that progress in each small success. So imagine this. Fear of cold calling for a sales job if you practice with a friend. Then call and are anxious but still celebrate the victory of making that one. A week later, 5 phone calls later, you work your way to 20 calls a day by the end of the month. Every little win builds confidence. The next challenge is less daunting because you celebrated so much already. The trick here is to celebrate small victories, even though it doesn't feel like you are getting much. Journaling your achievements can be a simple thing. Maybe treat yourself to your favorite snack or day off. This way, the act of celebrating such triumphs reiterates in your mind that you have what it takes to win the fear of overcoming it and greatness at your feet, one step at a time. 8. Fear of being judged. Some of the most paralyzing fears that hold people back are fear of judgment. We fear what others are going to think about us. Will we be ridiculed? Or whether we will fail before other people. Fear of judgment usually prevents people from pursuing their dreams, trying new things, or even asking for what they want in life. Here's a more important truth. People are not as focused on you as you might believe. Think about that for 1 second. How much do you criticize people when they do bad things? How much do you pay attention to their mistakes or failures? The chances are not many. People are usually too busy and afraid for themselves. So every time you fear judgment from other people, you hold it against you, which means you give your power to the perception of someone else. Only when we can shift our mindset from the judgment of others to our own growth and goal will we be able to overcome the fear of others' judgment. Why are you doing this? What's your purpose? When you align your actions with your values and vision, the opinions of others become irrelevant. Another strategy to deal with judgment is exposure. The more you expose yourself to uncomfortable situations, the less power judgment will have over you. It's like building an immunity to it. Start by doing small, brave things in front of others. Speak up in meetings, wear an outfit that challenges social norms, or post a vulnerable story online. The more you face the fear of judgment, the less you'll care about it in the future. 9. Using fear as fuel for growth. After discussing how to face, confront, and overcome fear, let's talk about something even more transformative. Using fear as a tool for growth. Fear is often viewed as a force that one needs to push away from, but fear can be one of your most powerful motivators. It usually means it matters when you fear something. The fear of failure or rejection, embarrassment in any case, tells you that you really care about what you do. Well, it's easy to ignore things that do not matter, so the appearance of fear is often the signpost showing you are pushing your limits and reaching for something that is out there and much greater than you. That's key. That fear becomes the fueling agent for your development. It becomes a cue at which you should respond instead of feeling. This actually becomes a signpost helping you know what's necessary to propel you ahead or grow the most. Then you can fear so that you may use fear instead of fearing it as if something from which you should keep your distance. For instance, the fear of failure will prevent people from doing new things. But when you frame failure as a stepping stone toward success, the lesson that will define success, you begin to embrace it instead of run away from it. Here are how to make fear work for you. 1. Ask yourself, what's this fear trying to teach me? This changes the narrative from victimhood to growth. Fear is an invitation to learn and better yourself. 2. Transform anxiety into excitement. Anxiety and excitement are both fueled by the same biological responses, but they have different emotional valences. Try reframing nervousness or anxiety as excitement. Excitement is fear with a positive twist, and it can fuel you to perform at your best. 3. Set bold goals. Often, it is fear of the very things, if achieved, that could make a big difference to our lives. Through bold goal setting and the subsequent effort to achieve them, fear acts as a catalyst driving one toward his or her major achievements. With the aid of fear as fuel, you can harness the energy provided by fear into motivation for bold action. You will soon see that fear does not boss you around. Instead, fear works for you, keeping the confidence and fearlessness alive throughout life. 1. Developing resilience. Each week, you'll come face to face with your fears, and your confidence will grow, but so too will your ability to bounce back from setbacks. Life is going to throw curveballs, and you will fail along the way. It is how you respond to these challenges that will determine long-term success. This is where resilience becomes a critical skill. Resilience has nothing to do with avoiding failure. It has everything to do with recovering faster, learning from it, and moving on. Start by reframing failure. What one perceives as his or her personal deficiency might be a great opportunity to learn and adapt. Each failure gives valuable information about what works and what doesn't. That is the essence of how to bounce back. 2. Power of consistency. Confidence does not develop overnight. It's created through consistent action. Every week, as you are facing your fears, you are stacking the small wins that will add up to big success. Let the lessons you have learned from facing your fears enter your daily routine. Be it daily affirmations, journaling, or meditating. The key is consistency breeds confidence and helps you keep fear at bay. One sticks to the weekly challenges one by one, which thereby develops a track of actions wherein the fear becomes less intimidating and closer to the natural part of one's growth journey. By now, you have a good understanding of why facing your fears is very important to build confidence and personal growth. You learned about how fear works, setting up challenges, building resilience, and how to let fear become your ally instead of your foe. So, what's next? Now put that theory to action. Go ahead and set those weekly challenges. Embrace your fear and watch how it changes you into the confident, fearless person you were always meant to be. But let's not forget that this journey doesn't end here. Building confidence is a practice for life. Fear will always be a travel buddy you now once carry. With the right mindset and tools, it will stop controlling you. Instead, it will be a true friend who guides you into new heights and pushes you toward becoming the person you want to be. Now is the time to make that decision. Are you going to let fear control you, or are you going to take control of fear? Every week you face your fears, you chip away at the limitations that have kept you small. Each challenge you tackle gives you the confidence to take on even bigger ones, and slowly, you'll realize that you're capable of far more than you ever imagined. Before you leave, I want to challenge you, you to take the first step right now. Choose one fear you have been avoiding and make that your challenge for this week. It doesn't have to be anything huge. It could be to speak up in a meeting, take a cold shower, or ask for a raise. The important thing is that you take action. Remember, self-confidence doesn't build overnight, but every move you make to face your fears adds a layer to your self-belief, and you will be amazed at just how fast results come as you step outside of comfort zones and push yourself to grow. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs a little extra motivation. And please, leave a comment below sharing your first fear challenge. You'll not only be inspiring others, but also helping yourself stay accountable to the journey. Thanks for watching, and remember, the only way out of fear is through it. As we conclude, reflect on the journey we've taken today. You learned to embrace fear rather than run from it. You saw firsthand that if you learn to confront your fears, you will become a more confident, courageous person. But here's the thing, this is just the start. The more you do this, the more confident you'll become, and the less power fear will have over you. So what are you going to do next? You already know the answer. Take the leap, face that fear, and start building the confidence you've always deserved.